Welcome to my alternate version of Arc 6. Just to get a few notes out of the way, this was definitely eventually influenced by the plot of Arc 7 because I did start reading that before I finished writing this piece, and you'll see where that is. I count chapter 63 as Arc 6 as well, and that's where Matt leaves to go on tour. Irma and Joel decide to be just friends, and the basement portal is open. We're keeping chapters 64 and 65 the same because they're a good setup to where we'll be going. Well, for the most part the same. Now, for the first time, let me share with you an alternate Arc 6 plot. Many years ago, Faulkner's younger brother was attacked by a Ragorlang. Faulkner saw it happen, but no one believed him. To everyone else, it was just a car crash. He becomes obsessed with finding out more and gives into research. One day, when visiting his comatose brother, their favorite teacher, Carl Ibsen, is also visiting. Faulkner overhears Carl apologizing to his brother while crying. Later, Faulkner sneaks into the Ibsens' house to find out more and overhears an argument between Carl and Tekla. This reveals what Ragorlang are to Faulkner. He slips out unnoticed and learns of Carl's journey as an anthropologist while volunteering to help him tutor students. These other students seem to be suffering from fatigue, likely from Tekla, draining some of their energy. Faulkner graduates high school and travels abroad where he learns more of the Ragorlang legend and vows to never let Tekla hurt anyone ever again. But it takes a long time to perfect a way to stop her. Eric's roof is where Heylin is given a Ragorlang. While visiting Eric in Open Hill, Heylin meets Erin. She's a member of Eric's friend group, and Mr. Kirkner is cold to Heylin for reasons we'll reveal later. Also, after the Ibsens' house collapses, the girls still think Carl and Tekla didn't make it out of Open Hill alive and forget about Ragorlang. Faulkner has seen Tekla's interest in Heylin and is determined to find out why. He becomes the eye doctor for Sheffield Institute. Cornelia and Peter still find out that they're into each other, and her grandma still has the fender bender with them. The Sing Yu incident happens the same way. And please remember this quote from when the girls cleansed the planet, which is magic, a happy, pure magic stemming from their deepest, most sincere feelings spreads over the Sing Yu's world. Peter is attacked by a Ragorlang while playing basketball at night, stewing about how Cornelia's grandmother treated him. The note that arrived was actually written by Irma, and when Cornelia goes to call Peter, he says that he can't talk right now and hangs up. Cornelia's grandmother smiles, and Cornelia remembers her vision of Peter being angry on the Sing Yu planet. She goes to bed feeling very confused. Erin is a temporary transfer student from Open Hill, the only student, and she's assigned to Heylin. They begin hanging out a lot. Additionally, the group notices Heylin progressively becoming more apathetic and negative. They all at first suspect that being in the Sing Yu's world actually did affect her, even though it didn't seem to at the time. Cornelia remembers her vision of Heylin crying and needing comfort. They tell her they need to link up their powers like they did for the Sing Yu, but she strongly refuses and tells them they're just jealous of her spending time with Erin. Will gets increasingly more annoyed at having to adapt to living with Dean. Irma and Anna still have their fight, but don't make up right away. Irma runs to the bookshop hideout to try and calm down. The portal, which not only shows locations, but also worst fears, shows her some of her worst fears, that Anna is replacing her mother. This is shown to Irma as a memory of her mother making a cake like we saw in Arc 5, but when she turns around, it's Anna. Irma spends the night at Heylin's and thinks that Erin isn't so bad, but Irma is feeling immense sadness over her fight with Anna and missing her mother so much that a Ragorlang slips into Irma's shadow. Martin's election process and party go right here because I feel like it's perfect for demonstrating a propensity in the girls to behave a little reckless and dark. That'll be important later. Irma, being in a rough mood, is a good explanation for her to act irrationally to help Martin win. Since Erin is the only exchange student now, we'll have Irma's mind control moments happen with Heylin at this party instead, throwing soda at Cornelia and taking down Uriah while also dissing the other girls. Erin is revealed to us to be working with Tekla and trying to turn the group into Ragorlang. When Uriah is embarrassed at the party, Erin sends a Ragorlang into him. People around Heatherfield have begun falling ill, like the students in Open Hill. Eventually, Uriah's group goes missing, then the Grumpers. Tarani has Cornelia and her grandmother over for dinner. She hasn't been able to speak to Peter, and they hope to show her grandma how nice Peter really is. However, the night ends with Peter becoming enraged and storming out after Cornelia's grandmother is being passive-aggressive towards him, insulting him at every opportunity. Additionally, Peter calls Tarani and Cornelia naive brats for even thinking this was possible. Peter goes missing that night. His absence and the unhealed wounds sadden Tarani and Cornelia enough for a Ragorlang to attach to their shadows unnoticed. Haylin visits Eric and is about to attack him in his sleep. Her love for him awakens her a bit, and this shocking moment gives her back control. When she returns home, she tells the girls that something strange is happening to her. They turn to the portal for answers, and she realizes that at night she's been morphing into a Ragorlang, that she and Aaron have been taking people for Tekla. As she tells them what she remembers, Cornelia remembers her vision of Peter looking angry, realizing that Haylin was a part of his disappearance. Cornelia yells at her, which also ignites Tarani's anger for what Haylin has done, and they berate her even though she wasn't in control. The Ragorlang within them pushing her limits. This causes Haylin to become so upset she morphs into a Ragorlang and runs away. Uriah and friends return to school and don't seem like themselves. The Grumpers are also strangely nice. Peter also reemerges. However, he seems to be on edge and mischievous. He picks on Tarani and ignores Cornelia, seeming to date a girl named Rachel. Will ponders why they all seem to be acting the opposite of their usual selves. Haylin is going to school but ignores the girls and glares at them. She is not herself. Even the other girls seem to be acting snippy and aggressive at times. Faulkner has been suspicious of Haylin since her first eye exam and will close in soon, hoping that if he captures a minion of Tekla's, he can draw her out. Cotter arrives and seeks the girls' help in freeing his sister. They agree to help him. A year ago, Tekla had stolen Aaron for her powerful magic of persuasion, and he has only now been able to track them down due to the immense increase in missing person cases. Irma is surprised because Aaron seemed like a nice, normal girl. Cotter and Irma still seem to get along very well and have some interest in each other. They bond over having siblings, much like she did with Aaron originally. Cotter tells Irma she has a beautiful soul, and Irma makes a negative comment about her looks and insecurities. Cotter tells her that she is beautiful and gives his mirror speech from the original run. Remember, he said, "Sometimes we don't like what we see, but what we see is not what people love about us." Irma tears up and she says she doesn't know why. We see an overlay of the Ragorlang within her shed a tear. Cotter and the group, without Haylin, return to the Singyu's world looking for some answers, and this is when they reveal that they took Yanlin to get Kandrikar's attention, to finally get help. It is revealed that the Ragorlang are what the Singyu morph into after too much time being affected by the evil flowers. They become elemental shadows of air. If you think back to Arc 3, Jewel was a water-based elemental shadow. This is why Haylin has a strong connection with them, much like Irma did. With only apathy left, they crave strong emotion and go after people that display them. When a Ragorlang attaches to a host, it will amplify the strong emotion to the point it consumes the host. The Ragorlang absorb their host's energy, causing them to steal more and more, causing discord around them so the Ragorlang can feed on the energy, which also means acting the opposite to offset everyone around you. And also, yes, this is the equivalent of people that drain your social battery. The host becomes greedy and negative, like Haylin has become. The girls had saved the Singyu, but can they save the Ragorlang? Everyone but Will and Cotter feel hopeless about this. Tekla has become even more greedy and demands more life energy be taken so that she may claim a new kingdom for the Ragorlang. She learns that a record-breaking hatching of sea turtles is expected soon, but only authorized people can have access to the island. She uses Aaron to convince Knickerbocker to organize a field trip, and uses it as an opportunity for Open Hill and Heatherfield schools to collaborate, making Carl, a teacher from Open Hill, a chaperone. Tekla uses Aaron's persuasion to attend as well. Eric is also on the trip, but Haylin completely ignores him. The trip is in 1 week. Meanwhile, Faulkner has cornered Haylin and Aaron, and they fight. The group finds them and defends Haylin from Faulkner. Aaron sees Cotter and flees. During the tussle, both sides are able to share their cause and agree to see what can be done to return the Ragorlang to normal. Faulkner hopes he can wake his brother from his coma. He helps them trap Haylin with his Ragorlang trap. They take her to Kandrakar to be cleansed with a purification ceremony. The eclipse still happens, and Kandrakar performs the cleansing ceremony during the eclipse. However, Haylin resists the purification and tries to instigate Irma by reminding her of her fight with Anna and her sadness about missing her mother. The Ragorlang within Irma is able to take over during this vulnerable moment, and Ragorma frees Ragorlin and they escape back to Earth through the bookshop portal, releasing just enough magic into Heatherfield where people can make wishes just as before. Tekla has powered up because of this. Kandrakar notices a dark essence forming around the Oromirs, but suddenly cannot communicate with the girls. Everything has become like a one-way mirror. They can view, but cannot intervene. Will is walking with Cornelia when they see Peter and Rachel during the eclipse. Peter kisses Rachel's cheek, and they overhear him telling Rachel that Cornelia is just his sister's friend and that she has a crush on him, but that he does not like her. This causes Cornelia to shout out and wish Rachel into being a rat. Tears run down her face. During this strong emotional turmoil, her Ragorlang takes over, creating Ragornelia. She flees, leaving Will behind. During the eclipse, Aaron was temporarily free and got to reunite with Cotter. During this time, Aaron tells Cotter that Tekla plans to absorb the turtle hatchling's life energy. The wish energy is only usable until the end of the eclipse day, but with the 3 guardians on her side, Tekla is able to keep what power she stole. The Ragorlang hide in their forms as Haylin, Aaron, Cornelia, and Irma. They are assigned to Carl and Tekla's campsite. Faulkner makes a plan with Will and Tarani to try and free the other guardians. They hope Tarani can get into their minds and push out the Ragorlang. When they arrive to attack Tekla's group, Tarani tries to tell them that they need to snap out of it. She is able to get into Irma's mind, but briefly, Aaron is able to push her own tragic imagery through of her village being raided. She shouts that she is afraid and screams for help, echoing Aaron's memory. This is so upsetting that Tarani leaves enough of an emotional, vulnerable opening for her Ragorlang to take over. For continuity, we'll call her Ragorani. And in case you're wondering, Tarani has been doing the same dance school stuff, such as rehearsing for Carmilla's show up until this point. Will screams at Tekla that she's poisoned her friends to evil. Tekla lashes back, saying it wasn't hard, only needed them to lean into the dark emotions that they already had within them. Tekla brings up what everyone did to help Martin win his election, manipulating people in their own way, abusing their powers all on their own. Then she brings up Matt. Uriah and the Grumper sisters emerge from the shadows and start saying things to make Will doubt Matt's loyalty and love. The entire arc, Will has been trying to reach Matt, but he hasn't been answering any calls or texts, just as he did originally. Before Will can fall to the darkness, Faulkner lunges for Tekla but is blocked by the other girls. Mr. Kirkner suddenly emerges from the woods and reveals himself to be a Ragorlang. He despises Tekla's goals and wants to turn the other Ragorlang back into Sing Yu. He and Tekla trade blows and he's doing damage. He knew Haylin had a Ragorlang and was bitter toward it being on Tekla's side. Ragornelia causes an earthquake, fighting off Faulkner. Tekla has 4 of the 5 guardians under her control for now. Tekla and her group escape. Kirkner is weak and fading. He's refused to absorb energy in an effort to return to his Sing Yu form. He enters a coma, but begs Will to find a way to save his fellow Ragorlang. The earthquake causes authorities to arrive. Everyone is evacuated from the island, and the baby turtles are safe and escape to sea when they hatch the next morning. They were unharmed. Will, Faulkner, and Cotter are all that stand against Tekla now. Will remembers that it was their combined magic of love and friendship that saved the Sing Yu, and maybe they just need to be reminded of the good in them. She tells Faulkner and Cotter she has a plan. In Kandrakar, the Oracle notices the darkness around the Oromirs growing and warns Yanlin of the shadow of the heart forming if the darkness spreads to all 5 guardians, but they are powerless to intervene still. Will's Oromir has a hint of darkness brewing, being tugged by the other Oromirs. The Carmilla concert is coming to town, and Faulkner assumes Tekla and her batch of Ragorlang will attack the concertgoers. Eric arrives around then to try and surprise Haylin because she's been refusing to see him and is avoiding his calls. He tells Will he hopes to see her at the concert. Will is able to get backstage and talk to Matt, warning him about the Ragorlang and what has happened to the group. Matt laughs and Erin turns the corner, putting her arm over Matt's shoulder, saying, "Your old girlfriend is crazy, Matt." This is what finally pushes Will over the edge. In Kandrakar, her Oromir goes dark. A Ragorlang leaps into Will's shadow and her eyes glow purple. We're in her mind now. Her and the Ragorlang are in a standoff. The heart hangs from Will's neck. In the real world, Tekla rounds the corner and seems to tell the Ragorlang to attack. Inside Will's mind, the Ragorlang lets out a massive screech and leaps at her, but seems to bounce off and cannot overtake her. The Ragorlang screeches again and everything seems to vibrate. Will crouches in pain. We zoom in on the heart. A shadow version of the heart materializes from the light heart as if it's been concentrating the darkness into a solid form and pushes it out into the real world, unfortunately dropping right into Tekla's hand. The Ragorlang is repelled from her body. Tekla tries to fire a dark beam at Will, but the light heart of Kandrakar shields Will and she's able to run out into the crowd. The entire arc, Neil, a suspiciously new addition to the swim team, has been trying to get Will to move on from Matt. Neil approaches her and asks her what's wrong. While searching for Haylin, Eric notices Will and also runs over. He looks at Neil confused and says his name, Ray? Neil is revealed to be a Ragorlang, Eric's friend mentioned as a Ragorlang victim at the beginning of the arc. Eric is overwhelmed with confusion. Ray absorbs this as a boost of power and Eric faints. Will catches him before he hits the ground. Ray flies up to join a massive cloud of Ragorlang forming above the concert. Tekla reemerges. She's younger now. Every time we've seen Carl, he looks distraught. He is near his breaking point. Faulkner steps forward and reveals how he knows them. Carl breaks down in tears, apologizing for his brother and pleads for Tekla to finally stop. She begins to absorb the crowd's energy and they all faint. Even the band. Matt does not, and his trance from Erin seems to break. He leaps from the stage and stands beside Will, Cotter, and Faulkner, ready to fight. Will pleads with the other Guardians to remember who they are, but they aren't listening. Cotter calls out to Irma that she is above this, and to remember the beauty in her spirit. Her and the Ragorlang smile and say in unison, "Sometimes beauty cannot be seen, but it is there. Sometimes strength and happiness lie within," echoing his words from the other night. Irma blinks and is free. Her Ragorlang leaves. Tekla screams that they must attack. Cotter's words break through to Erin as well, and she is able to wake up and push her Ragorlang away. Now free, she twists her hands, breaking all of her mind control spells at once. The Ragorlang inside of Peter, the Grumpers, and Uriah all exit and they fall to the ground. Cornelia and Tirani are concerned about Peter, and their swell of love for him seemingly weakens the hold of their Ragorlang. Matt grabs Will's attention and points this out, also reminding us how Irma was saved. Love and care. Will calls the heart and beams them all with warm light, saying, "Dark feelings and thoughts are what pulled you into darkness and made you feel alone. Remember your love and how bright it burns. Remember the joy togetherness brings. Come back to the light." Both Tirani and Cornelia hear this, as well as their Ragorlang that decide to leave their shadows. The Oromirs are cleansed by King Kandrakar. Haylin's is still dark. Yenlin tears up. The girls join hands and call for Haylin's attention, who is currently fighting Faulkner. Faulkner pushes her into their circle, but the beam of light from the heart bounces away from Haylin. She tells them there is no hope, and she has been caught in the darkness too long. Erin calls out, urging her that those are the Ragorlang's feelings and not her own. And then something shocking happens. Haylin lets out a bellowing no. As hurricane winds whip around them, her and her Ragorlang separate. Haylin looks angry as she says,
Kandrakar ignored the suffering of the Shinyu and let them twist into a whisper. I am the guardian of air, and when I became one with the Ragorlang, I heard their screams in the breeze and felt their sadness in the cold gales. These shadows are of my element. It is my duty to protect them, just as Irma had protected Jewel.
Irma looks down in reverence and smiles, saying,
I understand how you feel, Haylin. I also understand that you might be the only one who could bring the Ragorlang back into the light.
Tirani has a realization.
Yes, it's just like Cornelia thought before. You are connected to the Ragorlang, and it's because they are elemental shadows of air.
Cornelia steps forward.
Just like how Irma was the only one who could help Jewel, you can help the Ragorlang.
Haylin grimaces.
But there are so many of them.
Will smiles up at her.
Don't lose hope. You've got to try. We believe in you. Remember what Granny Lin said? How a smile can make so much difference.
The girls smile, remembering their visit to the Xingyu. That when you smile, the whole world can't help but smile back at you. Haylin cracks a smile and looks into her friend's hopeful eyes. She begins to cry and a rainbow light beams up and out of their joined circle. Mirroring earlier, the narration says that the darkness that stemmed from the girls' deepest, most sincere feelings is banished with the happy and pure magic that can fend off any evil, the love of friends. The girls are once again united and turn to face Tekla and her army of Ragorlang. Tekla reaches up, building up a dark ball of energy. Tekla releases hers, and Carl leaps into the way. He takes the brunt of the blast. Tekla doesn't notice or seem to care. Haylin hears the voices of thousands ringing out from the cloud of Ragorlang. Many voices are from the now unconscious people at the concert. She hears Eric's voice calling out her name. Tekla builds another blast. The girls join hands again. They power up their own ball of light surrounding Haylin. They hope this will amplify her power. As Haylin finds herself in a white void, she starts to worry that she'll be able to help all of the Ragorlang. Someone takes her hand. It's Yanlin.
I'm here for you, my love.
Yanlin contributes her small gift that all guardians keep. Like how Kadma still had some power, so does Yanlin. The ball of light bursts and showers the Ragorlang in the swarm above. It worked. We see them turn first back into the cursed Xingyu form, and then their true form. Haylin hugs Yanlin and she dissipates, returning to Kandrakar. Will beams the Xingyu to Kandrakar, where they are later routed back home. Haylin lets out a sigh of relief, and like before, knows everyone's voices and energies return to their owners. Faulkner's phone rings. His brother has woken up. Tekla is laying on the ground near Carl, realizing what she has done, and is in shock. They are sent to Kandrakar. Tekla takes full responsibility for her actions. Her and Carl are at first sentenced to the Tower of Mists, but Yanlin pushes for them to become acolytes of the temple, hoping to rehab and atone for all they'd done. As everyone at the concert wakes up, they all believe a strong windstorm had blown through and the sudden drop in air pressure made the crowd faint. The news spreads this as what happened. After all, there had been a lot of wind, and the flash of light could have been a power line or lightning. The concert still happens once everyone is deemed safe. Will wonders why Matt didn't faint with the rest of the crowd as she watches him play on stage. Peter and Eric don't seem to remember anything. The Oracle told the girls earlier that they will not remember the magical pieces of what happened, and they would just brush them off as wild dreams instead. But they will remember how they felt. Peter approaches Cornelia and apologizes for how he's been acting toward her, and that he let his bitterness toward her grandmother reflect on her. She asks him if he really meant what he said to Rachel about not liking her. Peter admits again his love to Cornelia, that he loves how strong and independent and caring and smart she is, and that after the way he's treated her, she does not deserve him. He goes to leave, and she grabs his collar and kisses him. Just before the arc ends later, we'll see that Cornelia finds a sketch in Peter's notebook of her as a guardian. He believes he saw this in a dream. And Eric and Haylin also make up. Eric doesn't remember running into Ray, but has foggy memory of the day like everyone else. Ray's memory is wiped, and he's returned safely to Open Hill. It's easy to have his elderly grandmother's memory of him missing being wiped. Irma and Anna finally make up, when Irma finds her letters to Tom in the attic, and this resolves the same way it did before. Rachel is also returned back to normal. Tarani gets to have her dance moment. And that's my take on Arc 6. I tried to keep strong story beats while using the available characters and drawing on the old arcs, like I feel should be done for continuity anyway. Arc 6 was a lot like somebody wrote an essay and then completely forgot what their plan was after looking at the outline after a few months. It's definitely sloppy here and there, like there's some things that were just harder to connect than others, but I genuinely feel like I enjoy this direction that the arc could have gone way more than how it actually went down. Share your thoughts below on what you would have done, what you would have changed, and what you did or did not like from my rewrite. Subscribe if you'd like to see more and hear more.